All right, welcome to another episode. This is Mike Perkins, one half of MVP, one half of Mike and Vince Perkins, one half of Opinions I Like Podcasts, and for this here, I am the whole show. So I had a little back and forth with Sir Clarence Junior about what the black community is kind of like missing, and he got into like a religious sort of, thing where he's like, the black community needs to, get back to God. That was probably, when we, had things together and, and the community was together at its best. And, of course I disagree, but like listening to, Clarence sometimes and how he thinks about things versus how he talks. And, unfortunately, and like, again, I don't like to make things personal, but unfortunately how he lives in contrast, it's always like, I don't know how he continues to make content, because like there's one of two things that are going on with him, you know what I mean? Either he really just doesn't know, which would be sad, obviously, but it would make a lot of sense. Or he does know what he's doing and he's just lying, which that might be closer to the truth, if I could say one or the other, whether he actually knows versus, don't know. I would lean more closer to the he does know what he's saying versus what he's doing is probably not necessarily the most, it's hypocritical a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. And then he just got into he got into a conversation with, with regards to, we need religion first. And look, my job or our job is never to change the women. I don't think that changing the women is really the answer to a lot of this stuff. I think that the environment will, sort of dictate what needs to be done. And there is a certain level of power that you got to have in order to lead. And I think that what Clarence a lot of times thinks is that there's going to be this, they follow you because you either say the right thing or they follow you because it's just the right thing to do. And that's just not it. Like conveniently, the same women who, when Kevin Samuels first came out, the same women who were, completely anti, femininity. They didn't know what femininity was. Femininity was fluid, as far as they were concerned. The same group of women, when they lead in evictions, when they're leading in student loan debt, and Biden didn't give them anything but $10,000. And of course they weren't satisfied with that, But the same group who was strong and independent just 3 years ago, pandemic hit, inflation hit, the reset, recession, all of the evictions and loss of jobs and everything, and all of a sudden now it's soft girl era. It's the environment. There has to be environmental changes for the women to change. The women adapt to the environment. Environment is sort of dictated by men, and I'll give credit to black men specifically. A lot of us have stepped away from a lot of the nonsense, even myself included. Like, I think you're an idiot if you try to get a relationship in this shit. If you're trying to get a relationship in this environment, you're an idiot, because you're setting yourself up to have a woman flip on you when the environment shifts, somewhere to normal. And but the women, back to it, the women will adapt to the environment, and it takes a certain level of power to actually lead. Like, for example, when I was, married, I had a job. Well, I had two jobs, but my main job that I worked, when I was working, I made a lot of money. It was just what it was. I made a lot of money, and I paid all of the bills. My ex-wife wasn't necessarily great with finances, and that just was baked into the cake that was being married to her. But the power dynamic that existed with us was that I had the money, and because I worked as hard as I did, and because I made the amount of money that I did, it really put her at a disadvantage with regards to, it put me in a leveraged space. I should say not her at a disadvantage, but it put me in a leveraged space to sort of be able to make certain decisions on our behalf. Now, because I had a leveraged space, it didn't mean that I treated her unfairly or poorly. It just meant that it's easier for her to follow me because I have power. I have a power dynamic that is in my favor, and what Clarence doesn't understand is that there has to be a power dynamic or a leverage space. The women, especially not our women, they won't follow you because you said something the right way. The only thing that they really react to or respond to is consequence. The reason that our women the reason that they don't jump off of a fucking 50-story building, again, is not because they don't believe that they can fly. They actually believe that they can do anything. But the reason they don't is because they know that gravity is real. Niggas can't fly on the ground as hard. That's why they don't jump, because the environment dictates that they don't. What dudes are trying to do is say the right thing to make them. They won't do it unless they're made to do it. The environment has to change. Just like the idea of, a man, or anybody for that matter, finding religion in prison. Like, you don't find religion in prison because because it's just what you wanted to do. You find religion in prison because what else is there? You've been stripped of everything and you need religion. The environment had to change though. Even with religion in the context of, like, historically, religion was only given to people through violence. Like, if I take over your land and this is where I am, now here's my religion as well. But the environment has to shift first before anybody is taking on a religion. Otherwise, they'll just believe what they were believing before you came. And even with the people who came before that, violence has to ensue. With the Crusades, violence ensued, for there to be somebody else to take on this religion. And even the invention of religion was behind violence. It's all violent, or just shifting the environment, I should say. But a lot of times the environment shift was violence or war. And there are plenty of religious wars that happen, throughout history. But religion is the least of our worries. Our real worry is this economic crunch that we're going through, the environment, with regards to families, the kids being out of wedlock, the way that the boys are being raised and groomed, the way that the girls are coming up, certainly how we're voting politically. There are a lot of things that really, really come before religion. I think that religion is sort of not necessarily an afterthought, but you have to think about it like our women, if any women, believe in astrology. Our women out here won't date Leos. Look, I can't be with a Leo. And these are the same women that you're going to give Jesus Christ to. And realistically, most people, if you ask them if they're going to identify with a religion, it is going to be Christianity. And I get it, like, he's partial to Christianity because he's Christian. I don't fault you for that. I'm not a Christian, but I get it. Like, you're partial to Christianity because you are a Christian. Great. Nothing wrong with that. But that's not the answer for this problem. It's not the answer for this problem. This problem has nothing to do with a religion. You know what I'm saying? Now, one would say God is in everything. And that's a meta conversation that I'm really not trying to have, which is, the conversation that he kept trying to have, some metaphysical conversation of which, that kind of goes away from something that's practical. because the practical nature of what's going on is that really women just got to get their head out their asses, you know what I'm saying, and really start choosing productive guys based on their ability to be productive. That's it, and then go from there and, and cooperate. But I mean, like, they're not going to do it anytime soon. So I'm not even really, like, as a dude, I'm not even really waiting on that. If I get a woman that can cooperate and act right, then I get one. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get one, but if she's black, great. If she's not, great, whatever. That's the least of my concerns. I just, I keep pushing down the road that I'm pushing down. But really the solution, if there's to be a black community, women have to come to the table and be honest. That's first and foremost. They have to say what they did. They have to start off by saying what they did. That's first. Saying what they did, what their intentions were, where they hid the bodies, everything. That's what has to happen. And men need to do that too, on some level. But I think that we've been scrutinized over the years so often and so, so in depth that a lot of where the bodies are hidden and so on and so forth, a lot of that stuff is out. With our women, they haven't been analyzed on any level until, 2020. And they've been exposed, and maybe to some extent, they've been exposed to in greater detail than we had been so early. And then we're dudes, so it's easy to really expose, who we are, because that's just a part of our lives. Accountability is really not, it's not a foreign concept or a foreign idea. But, yeah, they have to come to the table and tell what they did. They have to be honest. There are a lot of things that, because we're older guys and we do still have an affinity, being born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, that kind of deal. Most of the Gen Xers and the millennials are not really, we still have an affinity for black women. They're our moms, they're our aunts, they're our sisters, they're, our cousins and so on and so forth. We don't really out them like that. So it's like maybe, like Ed, I remember Ed saying that, like, we're probably only exposing maybe like 20 to 30%. I agree with that. Like, we're not exposing like the big shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like some of the sexual deviancy that's going on. Like, that's a big thing that I think that we're not really exposing. We're not talking about, dudes raising kids that are not theirs. We're not talking about that. We're not speaking about that on no level. That's a big deal. Some of the sexual deviancy, some of the sexual indiscretions that, our women participate in, we're not even. But you got to come to the table and talk about all the bodies, and not bodies as, as in actual bodies. But I mean, even that too, you got to come to the table and tell what you did and where all the bodies are hidden and where the murder weapon is and everything. You got to tell what you did. That's the first thing that needs to happen. It's probably not going to happen. What's probably going to happen is they're going to have to get caught, and then they're going to have to tell because they've already been caught. And you know how they're going to be. They're going to go to the grave with a lot of it. So since you're going to go to the grave with it, you're going to serve life in no nigga, no ribs, no rice, no soy sauce. That's going to be your life. You know what I mean? But a lot of what needs to be done, it needs to hurt. In religion, the way that you're trying to, the way that he's trying to give it, religion don't hurt like that. Because, there's no consequence in religion that really, to me, is even substantial at this point. That's why it's not relevant at this point. Not for this problem. Not to say that if you believe in God, that you can't, God, all things are possible, through God. Okay, cool, fine. No problem. But that's not the solution. The solution for our women specifically is that they have to hurt. They really have to hurt. You can't, at this point, you can't say that, well, we're just going to figure it out together. Nope, they have to hurt. They have to really, really hurt. You know what I'm saying? And I feel, I think that they're hurting now, but that still is not our business. It's not our business. It's not our responsibility, And especially like thinking about, and maybe I went too far, on Clarence. I never like to, be an asshole, in that regard, like talking about his personal business, but to know that he's not married and he has 2 kids with one woman that he's been with for 12 years, that's like, dude, like you don't, until you get married, dude, like the bounty is out. Like until you get married, man, you don't need to be talking. You know, a lot of this, you know, passport, y'all red pill guys, y'all save it. Like a lot of that stuff, it's like the more and more I think about that situation, and the more and more I'm just like, dude, like you just need to get married and just get off the internet. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have like, you're the problem. You know, you're a part of the problem. Like you can't, you know, which I mean, I guess I'll say it because I've been saying it because I've, you know, already started it. But the problem is that too many dudes think that there's a high moral ground that they can stand on by taking women's side, by saying things like, you know, we have to lead them. No, we don't have to lead them. Leadership is not about taking insubordinate people and making them good. Like, no, you know, LeBron will trade you. You know what I'm saying? LeBron will trade you if you're good, if you just don't fit. Like, hey, he's not a good fit. You know, LeBron got fucking D Wade out of there. That's his boy. That's his man's. He got him the fuck out of there. You know? I mean, you know, like I said, I love my mama. I love, you know, for the most part, you know, I mean, I'm black for the most part. So all my family members is black and I love them. But everybody can't go. And we have to be clear on that. Like, we have to be really clear on that. Everybody can't go. And some of these women are just not fit. They're just not fit. You know, they have entirely too much debt. They have entirely too many bodies. Some of them walking around with diseases. Some of them are just broken. You know, and it's not our job to lead them to a promised land that they don't even have the foresight to get in line for. It's not our job. You know, it's not our job. Like the community as it is right now, like it's got gangrene. You got to cut off some of this shit. Some of this shit got to go. And I know you don't want to hear that. And like a lot of people don't want to hear that, but you have to, some of this shit has got to just be cut off, you know? And the solution is not religion. The solution is practical. The solution is logical. The solution is, you know, more utilitarian than it is anything. It's what works. You know, and it ain't, you know, like, again, if you're of the meta understanding that there's God in everything, all right, cool, I guess, you know what I'm saying? But it's not really a religious thing. It's more of a math thing. You know, it's more math. It's more logic. It's more practical than it is anything, you know, and we're trying to, you know, that's why, again, that's why I don't even understand what his purpose is. You know, being around people like, you know, like I accidentally, accidentally, but, you know, I saw it. And, you know, I've seen some conversations with him and BGS, and they just sound like a grown man beating up on a little kid, you know, and BGS being the grown man and Clarence being the kid. It's just like, you have no concept of what works for real, you know? And I don't know, again, I don't know if it's a thing where he just doesn't know, or he does know and he's just playing, you know, and this is just like a ploy, you know, because I mean, like, you know, it you know, Clarence's channel got, you know, like 1,000 and some change, you know, it's like 1.6 or something like that. But it's not, I don't know that he's banking, you know what I mean, off of it. You know what I mean? I would hope so. I would hope that he is. I mean, I always wish everybody success. I don't think he's killing anybody. So, you know, I wish him success, but I don't think he's banking, you know, in that regard. So it's like, if you're not really telling the truth, or you're not really being as, you know, transparent as you can possibly be in what it is that you're saying, or if you're straight up just giving false information, like, what would be the need to do this? You know, and you're in a space of dudes who actually, you've gotten to talk, like, I haven't talked to BGS. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been on a panel with fucking I've been on a couple panels with Ed, but, you know, I haven't been, you know, on Ed's panel, you know what I'm saying, on his particular channel. Like, I haven't been, like, you're talking to these dudes and you have little to no understanding, little to no experience even. Like, you haven't even been married, you haven't even went through the ringer yet. You're just a baby daddy now, you know. And you know, I'm sure your kid's mom is a lovely woman. You should marry her ASAP. But you just don't get it at this point. You know, the mom said, or you do, or you do, and you're just hoping, hope against hope, which is crazy to me. I would, you know, that would not be the life that I'm trying to. I don't know. I couldn't live a hope life, you know. But I mean, and then it's just like, for me, also, and this is too far. Maybe if this is too far, I apologize. But it's like, if you have a daughter, I can't imagine you letting some guy do to your daughter what you're doing to your kid's mom. You know, in the name of whatever the fuck is going on. Like, I don't know. You know, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, 12 years, 2 kids. Like, dude, you're the problem. Like, you're the reason why women think niggas just be wasting their time. You're the problem. Like, and they would legitimately have an issue. They would have an issue. They would be like, yeah, you know, you're wasting her time. You're wasting her good years. That's a legit fucking, like, yeah. And, you know, a lot of your takes on red pill, a lot of your takes, like, of course they're disingenuous at best. You know, I listen to them sometimes and I'm just like, yeah. And look, I don't be on your channel like that neither, but I imagine that the stuff that you're saying is just ridiculous. Every now and again you're on, you know, a panel and it's just like, oh my goodness, or you're in the freaking comment section and something, and this is stuff you post even on Twitter. It's just like, man, like, dude. But the thing about it is that everybody sounds more articulate on, you know, Twitter, you know, as opposed to when they're actually talking. But, you know, it's a big drop off, because that's how I can tell you're holding something back. It's something that you're not saying. And not to say that I need you to say it, but it's just like, I don't think you should be doing this anymore. You know, this thing where you debunk that, like, it's never, I think, like, game and religion are, you know, for lack of a better word, it's just hope. You know, game and religion is game and religion. It's just hope. You know, and it would make sense that you would say game and religion. You know, like, you gotta have game. Like, dude, no, you don't. You don't have to have game. You gotta have power. You know, again, like, it's even dudes with no money understand power dynamic. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a homosexual, there's a certain level of woman you gotta deal with. That your looks, sexual currency, shout out to Ed Anderson, that your looks, you know what I'm saying, genetic currency, and your sexual currency, how you putting it down in the bedroom, maybe even your social currency, like the way that you know what I'm saying, talk, are you funny, whatever. It's a certain level that you have to have in those areas, even as a homosexual, to allow you to have the power dynamic in your favor, you know. And even dudes with no money know that. And you're just saying you gotta have game. Like, no, it's more than game. You gotta have something definitive. Women believe in game. Women believe in astrology and fucking magic. You know, black girl magic. Like, women believe in magic. Niggas don't believe in magic, sir. Not men. Men, you get your ass killed thinking about or believing in magic. You get your ass killed. You know, these are not times for us to believe in magic. It's time for us to start believing in, like, the stock market or something, like, or believing in real estate. You know what I'm saying? Or believing in education or trade. You know what I mean? Something of that sort. Or believing in group economics. You know, that's a good thing to believe in at this point. You know, excuse me, but yeah, just believing in magic and game and magic beings, like, nigga, you got to be older than that. You know, I stopped believing in game in, like, high school, dude. Like, seriously, I stopped believing. But again, I never really, you know, I was one of the more, you know, handsome dudes. Like, I can get chicks off of, you know, my face. You know what I mean? And so I was that. So I stopped believing in game because of that, because I didn't really need it in that context. But I mean, that's just, it's a flawed idea, you know. And you know, just to get back to it, like, the black community doesn't need religion. We need a reckoning. It needs to burn to the ground, you know, and it needs to burn to the ground immediately so that we can see what's left. You know, we need to not be fooled by the soft girl era shit. You know, you get a woman in this time, nigga, you're dumb. You get a woman now, you're dumb. You're an idiot. you know. But yeah, that was just my thoughts, man. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I already went on too long, but I don't want to belabor the point. I mean, I assume, you know what I mean, that Clarence is a good dude, but it's just some of the stuff he says, dog. It's just like, man, like you either you're a kid or I can't call it, I can't call it. Either you don't know completely, which would be sad, or but you're just hope against hope, or you have a content strategy that I don't know about. Like, I don't get it. But, all in all, man, like, good luck in that, man. Good luck. Marry your kid's mom, dude. Marry her, you know what I'm saying? But this is Mike Perkins, and I am out.